chaka, 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 chaka. All right, I'm live. Hi, everyone. Um, I made a video earlier today and kind of woke me out of my sleep. And I knew that I was supposed to be at that point praying because I um, planned on doing that for the whole week. But it was like the middle of the week of me doing it, and I literally fell asleep. So I was like, what the heck is going on? Um, okay, guard your privacy. I'm like, what is that just popped on my screen? Okay, so I was like, what is going on here? Like, why can I go to sleep? So, I was instructed to go and speak and put some stuff out, which I put out the information. Um, and then, I went on Facebook and Instagram and, recorded there. And something just told me, because I put some more information more than I put on here before. And I was just like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to leave it like that. I'm tired because when you usually have a word or something good, it takes a lot of energy out of you because you're so enthusiastic with it. And if it's something that's divinely yours to give and to speak through, um, then it gives you a sense of urgency, but it takes a lot of energy. It's a lot of energy running through you. So I got finished, and something was telling me to get back on YouTube and to make this video. Um, and I entitled it Starting from the Bottom. Now we're here. Um, have you guys ever wondered and thought about all this time when you were going through your rough patches in life? It seemed like it was a segment where, like, the world forgot about you. And I mean, when I say the world forgot about you, meaning your loved ones, um, they really didn't have time to help you or really didn't care about helping you, which was kind of a shock for some of you guys. Some of you guys, it was nothing new, but a lot of you guys, especially for myself, it was very shocking um, since I grew up around a lot of people who profess to help and really help. Um, you try to go and do things for yourself, and it was like you were prevented, going to jobs and you're trying to get promotions, and not only are you qualified for it, you are a great asset and they see it, but instead of you getting promoted for it, someone else that is under you who don't have the qualifications are getting promoted. And not only that, they're being a dictatorship. They're using dictate oh, excuse me, my hands are itchy. They're being a dictator with it instead of using the resources, which are people, because people are really resources, for the greater good. Um, Things about being financial stable, your finances are changing and things like that. It was like during that time, no one could help you. You couldn't even help yourself, and you were doing the right things and you're asking God, like, why is this happening? Like, what is going on? Why is this happening to me? You know, um, God showed me two things. It was the first one was that when things are being stripped away from you, He's teaching you, he's trying to get you closer to him. And he's also, not only that, he's showing you the things that you don't need, the things that are essential versus non-essential, because sometimes we mix those two up. We mix up the things that we want and that we use every day as a necessity when sometimes it's just a want, and it's huge to know the difference. Um, so yeah, so that's what God was leading me to, showing me that um what was essential and what was not. And not only that, but to show me that he never uses what you lost. He never uses what you lost um as to get you to your future. It's not required. Whatever is lost in your life, whether it's a relationship, domestically, friendship, or spouse, or anything like that, loved ones, um, a job, that does not dictate your future. If it was required for you to have those in order to go into your future, you would have those. Okay. Um, so he never uses that. But he does use what you have to get to what you need, and what you want and desire. Prime example for me was, um, and I made this illustration before about that I couldn't get the job that I wanted or needed, or I couldn't get a job at first, and then I ended up flipping burgers for a good minute. But God had me to tune in to what He gave me, because I couldn't fall back on the jobs that I used to have or anything like that. But He used the resources that I have. What was the skills that I had before that I wasn't using? My diplomatic skills, the being able to communicate effectively to people, being able to use the hurt and the issues and the pains that I went through to help other people get up out of their pain and to get up out of their situations. And that made room for me. That made me have more income, to talk about what I've been through and how, I was led to get out of it, how God led me to get out of it. And not only that, not how He led me just to get out of it, how He led me to endure it. Sometimes we think that um, when we have troubles, we ask God to lift and remove the burdens, but sometimes those burdens are created to strengthen us. One thing I learned, that was one of the hugest things that I learned, was that the tough times that I went, when the rejections came, it got me stronger to be able to handle rejection. It got me, stronger to understand that one man's no is another man's yes. And don't get distracted because someone is saying that you're not good enough, or you're feeling like you're not good enough, because some of the people didn't say I wasn't good enough. Some of the people said I was what they were looking for, but they still had to say no to me. And being able and okay with saying no, but still having that drive and that motivation to keep pursuing what you are supposed to pursue, and what you are your dreams and your aspirations are. um, so that was the thing that He had me to look at. What do you have now? You might not work at a radio station now, but what did you learn from that? What are the skills that you have that are irreplaceable, that no one can take from you, that you learned? I learned how to speak um, very great on the internet. On the radio. Not only that, I learned how to underwrite. A lot of people don't understand that, but underwriting is where you get most of the money from when you're doing anything with negotiations and advertisement, because you're looking at the contract. Not only are you looking at the contracts that are coming in, you are writing and rewriting the contracts in those things. I think the biggest underwriting job and assignment that I had was for McDonald's, for to advertise on the radio station that I worked for, and it was so tedious, and I was like, why do I'm doing this when I was just supposed to be, in like a junior executive, and I'm supposed to be like getting lights and fixing the cameras and stuff. But later on, I was able to make my own contracts, and not only that, underwrite for other people, and it led me to other things. Um, so that's another illustration of what do you have. Some of you guys are going to have to look at that. Things are shifting in the world. You can't just depend on the job that you have at hand, because we see, even with this whole crazy uproar that we're having right now with this pandemic, how things are going. Nothing is certain. Nothing is certain. But what is definite is are the things that you learn that no one can take away from you. What are those things that, yeah, they might take away your job, but what are the skills that you learn from that job that can help you to be productive, to lead you to the next step? We're all sometimes worrying about the big things. Sometimes you have to worry about that next step. So yeah, and a lot of you guys are worrying about that. So as I went through this process, and I'm still going through this process, I still had to work on myself. I had to work not only once I identified some of those skills, I had to constantly work on it. I constantly had to perfect it. Okay, now you know how to make lipstick, and you know how to make matte lipstick, and you know how to do different colors. Now you got to learn how to make it softer and how to make it more rich, how to have different hues, and how not only that, now you mastered that, how do you sell it? How, because making a good product is different from selling a good product. I can't stress that enough. There are a lot of good products and great products that are out there in the world that are not being marketed, that don't sell. And there are a lot of horrible products that are in the world that are selling like hotcakes. Okay. And the reason behind that is because the strategy, people haven't tapped into the right avenues as to being strategic about advertising, because they believe because they have a good product that it's going to automatically sell. And that is not necessarily true, especially in our time and in our area. So yeah, God had me to focus, to get diplomacy, and to get to tune into things with a fine tooth comb, which meant that I had to leave some things out. And during that, like I said, it leave things out, it made me look like I wasn't going anywhere. A lot of people were laughing at me because I was riding a bike for like 3 years before I bought a car. And then when I was able to buy a car, I bought a used car, so people were laughing even more. And not only that, I was buying used clothes. I was buying used, but in my head, I knew what the vision God had for me. And I felt like, I wanted to be a part of that. And I made a conscious decision, because you can make a decision not to go, but it's going to be disastrous. So you might as well go, because it's going to be further good for you anyway. But I made a conscious decision to say, hey, I'm into this. I'm down for this program, no matter what it takes, no matter what it looks like, no matter what the opposition is, that I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to make the sacrifices, because disciples, to be a disciple, and discipleship means discipline. It does not mean like, okay, you're a believer, you say you're okay, and that's it. Yes, you says if you're a believer and you call on Jesus and you believe, you will be saved. But there are more requirements for you as you dive in deeper. If you want something bigger, you have to dive in deeper. I don't care what it is. It might not be just dealing with God, but it's even if you're in your job. If you want to be the manager, you can't do the things that the regular employees do, because you're at a higher standard. You want to be a superintendent or something above the manager, you can't operate as a manager. You have to operate as such as if you were the supervisor. So it's a higher standard, it's a higher level. So that's the same thing I had to do with discipline. I had to not spend the money, even though I had the money and the means to go and go out and live lavish and have that nice juicy burger and have that meal. Sometimes I had to just cut back and eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or sometimes not even eat at all and just fast and just say, God, what is it that you want me to do? What is my next step, to get clear? Instead of, even when I got the car, I could have been driving around everywhere, but I know that gas costs, okay, before the prices drop down this low. And I still, am careful about that, because I want to be a good steward. How can I maximize what you've given me? How can I do that? And sometimes that meant walking to the store, walking 5 blocks instead of, hi to everyone's looking. That meant walking 5 blocks to the store instead of getting in my car and wasting the gas for a couple of minutes of pleasure and relaxation. Did it feel good? Sometimes no, because sometimes it was cold, sometimes it was hot. But did it help me in the long run? Yes, it helped me overall with my health, because I definitely lost some weight during that time. I was able to think about things that I would normally do. I didn't have to worry about too much of traffic. I was in and out. It strengthened my back because I was, carrying groceries and things like that. And it saved me money. It saved me money, which I was able to expand on the things that I needed to uh, do. Which brings to me the next part. When you start from the bottom and you go and you get more discipline, you you have to make choices that are not the norm and not so pretty. Look at my hair. I did my hair during this time, and people were like, oh my goodness. I put the color braids, because I don't usually get a chance to do that, at my job, because, you want to look professional, even though color does not make you professional or unprofessional, but we do have certain guidelines. They're getting a little bit easier with that, but just the colors pink and red are not really acceptable, especially this color pink and this color red. So, but the natural red tones and stuff like that, those are acceptable. So I was like, I needed that time. But during this time, I didn't, I did things that were efficient, instead of going all out. Some people were like, I know that the stores are going to shut down, so I'm going to get the most extravagant hair, and I'm going to be laced up, and so it can last for a month, and I'll just tame it that way. Those are the decisions. It might not sound like it's big, but these are some of the decisions that you have to make in order to do some things, in order to grow. Could I have spent the money to do all the fancy stuff and to be laid out? Yes. But would it help me in the long run? No, it would have just made me sit back, and I wouldn't have anything to stand on. So then I'm looking like I'm impressing someone, because that's basically what it is. It's impressing. It's living above your means, and it's something that I didn't want, or not anything that I wanted to portray myself as. Um, so yeah, and like I said, during this time, it was very traumatic, because when you're doing things that are not the norm, especially around my age, people are in dealing with families, and they're getting in these relationships, and they're going into marriage, or they're in years of marriage. I have a lot of friends that have, like, they were married for like 10 years now, and you're like, what is going on with me? Why haven't I gotten to this point? Why haven't I, produced these kids and all this? And you're like, I'm so behind. But um I just got a reminder, like, it's not your timing. It's not in your timing, but your time will come. So um yeah, the promotion is coming. Like, that's what I really heard. Like, everything that you were in the pit for, everything that you went through is going to help with your promotion. And during that time of promotion, people are going to look at you, like, the people who overlooked you are going to look like, what? The people who saw you, because believe it or not, I will say this, believe it or not, there are people who've been watching you. They've been watching you, okay? And some people know what you went through. When I say some people know, it was scared me so much when this one guy came to me. I didn't know him from a can of paint. Told me what I went through, and how I was gonna overcome. And I'm like, all I had to say was, if it was God's will, then let it be so. I wasn't taking his word, because I'm not about to. I'm taking everything to the Father, because you're not about to curse me. Because there's some people who would try to switch destinies and try to get you to agree with them. And when you agree with them, you agree into something else. And that's a whole nother story. I'm not gonna get into that, but but they will do that. So you have to say, if it's not of God's will that they're trying to connect you to, let it fall down to the ground. I used to say let it backfire, but that's a whole nother thing. I have to talk about that too. But no, let that bad curse or whatever it is, let it fall to the ground dead. And let the trajectory that was designed for me before the foundation of the earth to go. So and that's something that you need to proclaim all the time. But it's some people who knew what you went through, that could have helped you, who did not help you. There are some people who knew what you went through, and they know you should have been taken out. You're gonna know that some of the things that you went through, you should have been taken out. Like, some of the things that I went through, I couldn't even explain to y'all. I know I explained some of it on my channel, and if you haven't looked at that, look at my channel, and then you'll start seeing some of the things that I went through. But I haven't even gotten to the nitty gritty on that. Like, some of the stuff would just drop your floor. Some of it would sound so unbelievable to certain people, because they're not there yet. And not to say that I've achieved any kind of in-depth knowledge. I'm just saying the things that I learned um, was really, really deep, and it got me closer to God, and it got me to understand that it was for a purpose. It was for a purpose. It was bigger than myself, and that was the only way that I was able to overcome it, and I was able to outlast it, and I was able to not only outlast it, but to look unscathed, because some of this stuff was strong and powerful that was coming my way, but God had it to where I was unscathed. I was not touched. Um, and there are some people who you are going through this because nothing happens on accident. If you're watching this, whether you are supposed to be just like surveillance to look and make sure and monitor things on here to make sure it's good, or whether you just thought you just ran across this, nothing. And when I say nothing, nothing in this world happens on an accident. Every person that comes into your life is a divine attraction or a divine distraction. And when you understand that, you get a little bit better and you get more in tune. Okay. And you're supposed to question everything and everyone that comes into your arena and into your surroundings. Okay. You question it and you ask God to go through that through a fine-tooth comb. But once you understand that, you're able to see some to discern and see what is for you and what is not for you. But there are some people, like I said, who knew that you had it, and there's some people who thought that you were loco, that were crazy. Those are the people who won't actually be able to turn around and say it was nobody but God, because they're going to go through their persecution time now. Some of us have been through that time of wilderness where you've been persecuted for doing what is right and what is ethically sound, because we're going into a process where things are being in the state or the law of lawlessness. But when you are a disciple, that means you are a disciplined one. You're going to obey and you're going to follow law, and the law, if you follow the right law, the true law, the truth law, it leads to nothing but prosperity. It tells you, I am the vine, ye are the branches. If you abide in me, if you abide in my law, if you abide in my word, if you abide in my principles, you will bear fruit. I will prune the ones that don't come off, the things that are not fruitful. I'm going to cast it off. It's going to die. It's not going to work if you don't follow the principles. Whatever you produce out there, it's not going to work. But you're going to see things manifest because you're going in the right direction. You're going to see it manifest. And a lot of people are going to be able to say that it's something over his life. It's something over her life, because I saw her from when the time she was struggling and when this was happening, and the dynamic and the dimension that they're in right now. It's she couldn't have done it by herself. He couldn't have done it by himself. It's so overwhelming that they're getting brought to the spotlight that no one could have done this. No one could have done this. No one physically or spiritually could have done this but God, but the Lord Jesus. So that is what I got from that. And it's so funny, like, people don't understand that the world that we live in, sometimes we want the outside will make you think that being lawless is freedom, when it's contrary. That is contrary, to everything. That is unsound. They think that you can have, if you take things into your own hands, and you do your own thing, then it's going to give you these results, and you're going to feel good, and you're going to be on top of everything. But it doesn't tell you that. It tells you that discipline does. Think about when you're going to exercise. It's all about discipline. If you don't you can have all the information that you want to have, but if you don't have that discipline to follow through on actions, even when it doesn't feel good, doing those exercises, even when it doesn't feel good, eating the food that you don't really like to eat all the time, saying no to those Snickers and those candy bars when they taste good. They taste so rich and good, and they make you feel good for a moment, but leave you groggy and foggy later. If you can't say no to that and say yes to the healthier foods that are leaner and leave you fuller, and they might not taste as good as that Snickers and the cookies and the candy bars, then you're gonna you're not going to be able to achieve those goals of losing weight. That was one of the things I had to learn. And, lawlessness is insanity. It really is. Lawlessness meaning you're doing something constantly that's contrary to what is designed for it to do, and expect a success result. So you want the result of a disciplined one, but you don't want to show discipline. You don't want to operate out of discipline. It doesn't work like that. Think about a scholar. Think about when you go to college. That is the prime example. If you don't do the work, you might be the smartest person in the class. And I used to have that, and I literally had that for one of my science classes in college. And man, this guy was so tough. Like, I was able to answer all the questions, but I was really, as a youth, I was kind of manipulative, dealing as far as, I would negotiate everything. I didn't really like to write, but I knew how to get the answers. I loved to read, but I definitely didn't like to write. So I would make a pact with some of my friends, because I knew they couldn't get science things or deal with math. And they'll say, okay, I will give you the answer. I will tell you how to get this and write this down. And you just have to write my paper. I'm going to tell you verbatim what is happening. And my, I think it was my chemistry teacher. It was another thing of chemistry, some form of chemistry, but he caught on to it, and he knew that I knew the word. And even when I did the test, I got A's and everything, but he still gave me a B because he knew that I didn't do the work as far as writing it down. And the person who, which I thought she should have got a B too, but I'm not gonna hate, because um, but you can be the smartest person in the world. If you don't do what is required in order to pass the class, then you're gonna get an F. Another illustration of that is the dietary measures. Another one is, think about you trying to get a promotion at work, and you have reports due, and they have to be due at a certain time. If you don't do them at a certain time, it's going to look like you're unproductive. You're being unproductive. You might have it in your head, you might have good intentions to, but that's different. Having intentions to do something and to actually do it is different. So and that's a prime example of discipline. You have to put in that work. You have to put in that work. And no one's going to force you to do it. But there will be a lot of people and a lot of obstacles that will prevent you from doing it, especially if it's something that is divinely yours, and you have to take that discernment and that initiative to, like I said, do something that is um, contrary to the norm. And I will say this: if you guys are looking at this now or later, and you are comfortable with dealing with the norm, then this channel is not even for you. Um, it's definitely not, because every single time I've had to been led to pursue and kind of pioneer through this thing. I didn't have anyone to lead me other than the spirit to lead me. It wasn't anyone physically like leading me down a path of a paved path. I literally had to listen to the spirit. So if you're not about taking chances and being disciplined in things, then this definitely is not for you. Just go and still be rockabye to sleep, because a lot of people who are seeing this, who like I said, when you're being promoted and they're kind of stuck, a lot of those people rockabye to sleep, meaning that they heard God talking to them. They heard something, that small voice saying to do certain projects and to do things, and they fell back on it. But when they see you, and when they see you promotion, it's going to light them up, okay? Which we were supposed to do. It's going to light them up and recapture what they lost. And it's going to give them that turnaround to say, hey, something is going on, something is different. I need to attend to that, because I know that's what happened to me. The best confirmation that I got was when God was telling me this, and I listened to another YouTuber, and it came on like boom. Before I even said it or it came out of my mouth, this YouTuber started talking about it, and I was like, oh wow. So then, before I was about to pray about that, I clicked off the computer, clicked off my TV, and then I started cleaning up. Got back on another one. Another person talked about it. Then it was the third time. I was like, you know what? Okay, it's time to record. It's time to put it out there. You know. But yeah, a lot of us are going to be getting promoted from that time. Not to say, like I said, it's not to say it's a braggadocious time. It's not that, and you're not even going to have the energy for it. To be perfectly honest, I don't even have time to reflect back on it. That was one of the things that God showed me. Don't reflect back on the past. I know what had happened in the past. I was there. I was there. You know, you're not going to be able to reflect back on the past, but the people who are watching you are going to be able to look back and say, put the correlation together and say, hey, A and B, you know, C comes after A and B. After B comes C. And she is at G. So something, this got to be a God move because this was a jump. This was a jump. Yeah. So, yeah, you guys remember that. The scriptures that I used was John 15, 5, 6 to 8. And I guess I can look at that and read that up. I said, and read that up. All right. And that basically talks about the vine. Okay, come on, let's go. Okay, I know that. I know. And give me 1 second, and I'll be able to tell you guys. All right. So, in John 15, verse 5, which is the King James Version, it says, I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me, and I am here, and I in him, bears much fruit. For without me, you can do nothing. That's 5, okay? Go to 6. Why is it taking all day? I got 5G, which takes forever and burns out. Burning out everything. If anyone does not abide in me, he is cast out as a branch and withereth. And they gather them to throw them in the fire, and they are burned. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, will ask that you desire, and it shall be done by you. By this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, so that you will be my disciples. Okay. And that basically says, like, think about it. It says, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He's the source. We are the resource. We are not the exclusion, the total, to tolerate the whole. He's the source, the foundation. We are connected to him. And once, think about a plant, that has a root, it can't survive. The branches can't survive without the root. You need the root. I said root. That's what you say, in the southern, and when you, like, in Haiti, the root. Um, if you don't have that foundation, that root, the branch is going to die. Think about plants. You have to have that, and it says, if you don't, produce fruit, if you're in him, you're going to produce fruit. If you don't produce fruit, whatever is not of him, whether you do it or not, whatever you do and it's not of him, it's going to fade away eventually. It's going to fade away, and it's going to be burnt up. It's not going to last, meaning it's not going to last. What else did it say? If you abide in me and my words abide in you. That's what was so, like, people need to understand that my words, and I talked about that. Like, he puts his word above his name. He said, heaven and earth shall fade away before my word will. My word will remain the same through the test of time. When the firmament, is open and divided and all that, and heaven and earth is gone, my word will be the same. So you wonder why sometimes people can say that they believe, they really believe in God, but you can see that they're lukewarm people. They don't follow through on what they believe. Their belief system is faulty, meaning they don't really believe in the belief system. They hear it, they understand it, they know it's possible, but they don't believe it's possible for them, you know. It's only possible for certain people. But when people who operate out of this know, and that's believers and unbelievers and not alike, know that that word works, whether you're rich, whether you're poor. It's all about a mindset. It's a mindset. So yeah. What else did it say? Oh yeah, my words abide in you. Will ask what you desire, and it shall be done for you. So that means if you are in the will of God, you're asking something that is in the will of God, meaning that it doesn't go against his precepts, like against his word, and you are actually in God's will, and meaning his will, meaning doing what he has designed for you to do. He is going to give it to you because he loves you, and it's going to glorify him. It's going to give him glory because he says, ask what you want and it shall be done. It says, ask what you desire and it shall be done for you. He does not lie. He don't lie. When has ever, and I know that's like poor grammar, like grammatically incorrect, but it makes a lot of sense now. When has he ever lied? Never. Not never. God's word never changes, okay? That's why he says heaven and earth will fade away. Heaven and earth is real. Heaven and earth is real. Um, when that fades away and it's no longer here, that word is still the same. Still the same, still the same. And he says, um, his word says he's going to give it to you. He's going to give it to you. You just got to believe, and not only believe, but walk into it. Walk into it. And it says, why is it being done? Why does it happen? Because by this, my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit. If you're doing what he's supposed to do, of course he's going to give it to you because you're going to give glory to him. It's showing people, and it's showing the people that are around you that it is not you. It is not you. It's bigger than you. It is bigger. It's so much bigger than you and what you see and what you look. It's him. It's him being glorified. So yeah. So that's what I got. And that's John, like I said, 15:5. John chapter 15, verses 5-8. And then the next one was oh my goodness, I gotta look that one up. That one was David, talking about David. And okay, redirect notice, redirect this. Okay, so it was 2 Samuel 7 and 8, and that was talking about how basically that started from the bottom. Now we're here, kind of moment. Sorry guys, give me 1 second because my phone is just trying to act crazy. Samuel. Okay. And it's basically talking about the covenant that God had with David. Because, God made a covenant with David, like, telling him. And it said, now it came to pass when the king was dwelling in the house. Um, wait. Okay. Here we go. I'm sorry about that. Because that wasn't it. It was like, now, therefore. I'm thinking about one. Okay, so sorry about that. So it's 2 Samuel 7 and 8. So it says, now therefore, thus shall you say to my servant David, thus says the Lord of hosts, I took you from the sheepfold, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. That's what it says. And then it goes further and says, and I have been with you wherever you have gone, and have cut off all your enemies from before you, and have made you a great name, made you a great name, like the name of the great men who are on earth. Okay. So in that time, God was telling, David, like, basically, like, I kept my covenant, like, started from the bottom. Now we're here. You started first, you was out there covering some sheep, and God always, like I said, he uses what you have, the resources that you have, not what you didn't have. David didn't have, the promise and the acceptance of his father as being worthy of kingship, but he had the acceptance of God, and that's what mattered. He had the heart that God needed, and that's what mattered. He was tending over the few things that God had for him. Tending. He had very ultimate care of his flock. He took very good, diligent care. People who are herdsmen and who watches over a flock, you have to be careful with the flock. You can't. You have to defend the flock, and that's what David did. He was very diligent. He put his life on the line to save the sheep. So God promoted his promise because he stayed with God. And God said, look, since I took you from the sheepfold, like, started from the bottom, now here, I almost sound like a rap song when I read it, because it was just like, look, I'll put you came from nothing, and I put you on a map. Like, and he's telling you, like, literally, I put you bigger than those people who was like, I put your name like the people who was doing big things, who are of the earth, who are of this world. You're not of this world, but I put you big like that. That's how I did it. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think that when you're dealing with God, you can't be popular, you can't be famous. That's bullcrap. Think about the one of the richest people in the Bible. They were following God, and he made his name great. Think about David right now. He was following God and he made his name great. Okay. God is in control of everything. God is in control of the arena of fame. God is in control of every principality that you think about. God has control over that. They have to ask for authority, for jurisdiction over that. Now, granted that we have to fight against certain things, but we have already overcome it once you get into the vine of God, because now they have to answer to a higher power. They're not answering to us. They have to answer by the authority of God. That's why we're able to cast out demons in his name. That's why we're able to trample on serpents and scorpions and everything, because the power and authority that we're standing underneath. We're in the vine. We're in the vine. We're underneath that covering. So that's what it was saying. Um it was just almost like a promotion. When they start seeing this, they're going to be able to see it. And then it says on 10, I don't even know why I didn't even think about 10, because it even tells you even more. So in verse 10, it says, moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more, nor shall sons of wickedness oppress them any more as previously, since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused you to rest from all your enemies. And also, I say, and also the Lord tells you that he will make you a house. Okay. So, like I said, he's promoting you. So now, some of you guys are going to see that promotion as family life. A lot of us are going to see that with wedding bells, things like that. People are going to see it with getting new jobs, getting new promotions, as the degree as far as how you function and flow. And some people are going to have a huge 360. When I say huge 360, and I know I'm one of those recipients that receive it, it's going to be a 360 where it's going to look so bright, where you were looking like you were um, cleaning the dumpsters. Now you're going to own the people who owned the dumpsters company, that kind of thing. They're going to have that. Not only are you going to be a leader in it, you're gonna rule over leaders, and that's basically what those scriptures were saying. So hopefully someone got out something out of this. I know for me, it took me a minute to process it and be like, okay, what is this? Because sometimes we toil with things, and God is telling me to jump forward and to leap, to like quantum leap, like quantum leap. Like it's no time to sit back and to wait and say, well, maybe if I see this sign, then to go this way. But just to jump and to leap in there, now is the time. And I know that's happening for a lot of you guys. And once again, if you're looking at this did not happen on accident, not by any means, not by any means. If you're looking at this is your time now. And you might be on the other end, as to where God has been calling you, and you just been sitting on the back burner because you're like, I don't know if this God, or is this it, or do I really want to do this, because it's going to take a lot of work. And I promise you, if you're asking yourself that, I promise you it is worth it. It is so much worth it. It's painful at first. Yes, it is painful. It takes a lot, because you're going to be scolded and you're going to be scoffed, but that's okay. Some of those people who are scolding you and scoffing you, and those people who are mocking you, they don't even know themselves yet. But when they see you come out polished, they're going to say, I want what she has. I don't know what it is. Some people, not even knowing God, they're going to say, I don't know what that is, but whatever she has, I want it. I want it. And that's what you want to have. But you have to stay focus in him. You have to stay disciplined. And when you mess up, just come back up. That's basically what discipline is. When you don't, resiliency, just don't stop. Um, I think that is it by now. I need to get back to my life and cleaning because my broom is right there. But I did want to put that on there. Hopefully, something I said or done will help you on your journey. Please stay tuned to Journey to Jerusalem. I ask that you do like this page. If you don't, that's fine. Most of all, I would like for you to get the message and apply it to your life. If it's for someone else and you think it's for someone else, which usually it might be for you and someone else, share it. Nothing wrong with that. So yeah, hopefully something I said or done will help you on your journey. Please stay tuned to Journey to Jerusalem, and thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you later.